So if you're coming here fresh, I'd recommend first going and watching the How Overwatch's Character Design is Carrying the Game video, just so that you can experience the fun secret reveal of what's going on here as was initially planned. The card is up there, so if you haven't seen it yet and want the full experience of what's been planned, go check that out first. Alright, I'm assuming that if you're still watching, you've either already watched the other video or you're not planning on watching it, so let's just jump into it. Hello! Welcome to Viveros 2.0, this time in 2D. I've been working on a whole channel update for a few months now, and getting a Viveros VTuber model was a big part of that. Before getting into absolutely everything, just a few quick shoutouts. Haluciel is the artist who's behind this model, she did an absolutely incredible job with it, and I could not be happier. And Enzo is the artist behind all the new channel branding and assets. Everything from the new logo to the overlays, the new channel membership badges and emotes are all his work, and he did amazing. I rigged the model myself because my rigger fell through and I was too broke to find somebody else who could do it on time, so if it looks a little bit rough, please have some grace with me. I tried my best, and I think it turned out alright for a guy with no talent. While the Viveros model is obviously the most big visual change for my content, it's not the only thing that's going to be different about the channel going forward. So we're going to treat this as a bit of a multi-purpose model debut / get to know me / channel update, and just kill a whole bunch of birds with one stone. First part of this video is going to be the channel update side of things, but if you're just here for the VTuber debut stuff, skip to this timecode for that. First things first, let's go over what's going on with the channel itself. If you've been following me for a while and are suddenly seeing that I'm doing this VTuber thing, you might be wondering if that means I'm not going to be doing my video essays anymore or whatever, so I think that's the most important thing to address right off the bat. The important thing to establish up front is the channel's content isn't really going to change much in terms of structure. I'm still going to be doing a video essay every 2 weeks, although May is still going to be weekly because I'm apparently a masochist, and those video essays are still going to be in the same vein of analyzing and talking about games that I've been doing for the last 6 months. This isn't suddenly going to become all about VTubing or anything, and if you're only interested in the video essays, the main thing you'll notice is that the model will be appearing on screen instead of the scuffed little circular logo thing I had with an audio effect in my past videos. I'm hoping that this is going to allow me to be a little bit more expressive than before, but if you're one of the people who watches the channel because of the video essays regardless of the topic matter, that's really the only difference you'll notice. That being said, the topics I'm going to be talking about on this channel are going to be diversifying a little bit going forward. Up until now, the channel has been pretty heavily focused on Overwatch, and almost all my videos have been about that. That is going to be changing a little bit going forward, and I just want to explain why. When I talk about a game, I want it to be something that I'm passionate about, and something where I think I can bring something new to the table, and the fact that this channel has grown so quickly feels like pretty solid proof that I've been doing pretty okay on that front. I haven't stopped being passionate about Overwatch, to be clear, but I can definitely feel myself starting to get to a point where I'm running out of things to say about it. Not because it's a dead game or whatever, but because someone who's doing what I'm doing will inevitably get to a point where they've said all they can think to say about a piece of media. When you stop and think about it, 30 to 90 minutes of content a month about a single video game is kind of a lot, and there's really only so much you can talk about. At some point, you're gonna face a crossroads. Either keep churning out content even though you've run out of interesting things to say, or drop the game and try and move elsewhere. I've seen a lot of Overwatch content creators hit that point in the past, and being honest, neither option really works out super well. I'm not at that point right now, but I can see a few blocks down the road. I don't want to just wholesale stop talking about Overwatch, but I also don't want to make content about Overwatch that I'm not passionate about, that I don't care about. So instead, the channel is going to diversify a bit. There will still be videos that are either primarily about Overwatch or about Overwatch as part of a discussion of multiple games, but I'm also going to be making videos about other games and topics when I think I have something more interesting to say about them. Overwatch content isn't going to disappear from the channel, because the fact of the matter is I have severe mental illness and I'm completely addicted to it, but I do have a ton of ideas for video essays that go beyond just talking about Overwatch, and I'm really excited to talk about those as well. This isn't really related to the VTuber stuff, it's something I've been planning for a while, and it felt like it'd just be easier to rip the band-aid off of everything all at once. And look, if I'm being fully honest, this channel isn't really about Overwatch. It uses Overwatch as a jumping off point to talk about a whole bunch of other topics because Overwatch matters a lot to me, and I think there's a lot that I can build out from there. You know, I've done videos about the Dunning-Kruger effect, information vacuums, survivorship bias, video game monetization, world building, feedback loops, and more. In all of those videos, Overwatch is honestly more of a vehicle for a more interesting discussion than the actual topic. If you've enjoyed my content up until this point, I think you'll enjoy what I have planned for the future as well, even if it does diversify from Overwatch into places that you aren't necessarily initially interested in. I'm also going to be making sure that every Members' Choice poll going forward includes at least one Overwatch topic, so members will always have the option to bring the focus back to Overwatch if they want to. And if you want to do that, you can click the join button below and become a member for $5 yourself. Another difference is that I'm going to start live streaming on YouTube now. I've already been streaming on Twitch for the whole time I've been on YouTube, and I do still plan on streaming there, but I'm going to be splitting my time 50-50 between the two platforms. First game that I'm going to be streaming on YouTube is going to be The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, starting shortly after this video ends if you're watching it as a premiere. In fact, it should just redirect you right to that live stream if you stick around. The plan is to stream Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on YouTube, and Tuesdays and Thursdays on Twitch, although it won't necessarily be live every day out of those because of school or other commitments. I will be posting my schedules at the beginning of every week going forward as well, so hopefully it'll be easier to keep up with if you'd like to. I'm going to keep story games on their respective platforms, like Tears of the Kingdom isn't going to be played on Twitch once I've started streaming it on YouTube, but I'll be playing stuff like Overwatch on both because, I don't know, why not? Streams are going to be available for anyone to watch, but VODs will be a bit different just in order to provide a bit of a perk for subs and members. All VODs will be available to anyone to watch for the first 24 hours on both platforms, at which point they'll be published on my VODs channel, youtube.com/@thevivrossvods, and the original's visibility will be switched to members only on YouTube and subscribers only on Twitch. If you miss a stream and you don't want to pay for membership, or you don't want to use Twitch, but you do want to keep up with the game I'm playing over there, the VODs channel is the place to go for that. There are actually already a couple VODs with the model over on the channel if you want to check them out. My last few streams I've been making this whole overlay recording only so that I could test it out and make sure it works, so I've technically been a VTuber for a couple of weeks without anyone knowing. In fact, I actually showed this VOD in the character design video briefly, if you noticed it. Anyway, the reason I'm doing things this way is because at the core, I still want this channel to be primarily about the video essays. If you're someone who buys in with a membership, I'm assuming you're a little bit more invested in what I'm doing and don't mind having those live streams on the channel too, but if you're only here for the video essays, I want to make sure you don't feel like you're being bombarded with VODs from streams you don't care about or whatever. If you're someone who does want the VODs but can't or don't want to pay for a membership, that is entirely fair. That's why they'll be over on the other channel. I know it's a bit unusual to segment things like this, but to me this just seemed like the easiest way to make things run smoothly. If it turns out that this doesn't work, then I'll figure out a plan, but that's the state of things for now. Lastly, let's get into the fun stuff. It's time for a VTuber debut. Starting off with the basics, let's get to know me a little bit. My name is Viveros, and assuming you're watching this on the day that it's going live, my birthday is today. I'm turning 25, which feels terrifyingly old to me, and I am clearly coping with it in a very healthy way. Me and my model are both 6'2", and my favorite colors change pretty frequently, but for right now, they're green and pink. I also want to, again, give credit to Lucille, who is the artist who designed my model. She did an absolutely incredible job, especially if you consider what she was working off of. My sketches were god-awful. You would have to pay me a pretty penny for me to even consider releasing them to the public, but I am so grateful to her for absolutely everything she did. Enso did all of my channel branding, so the new logo, overlays, members badges and emotes, and banner are all his doing. I can't recommend either of them enough if you're looking for a model or for branding work. Both of them were fantastic to work with, and I can't say enough nice things about the pair of them. As far as rigging goes, I rigged my own model, which is why it's a bit scuffed, but hopefully in the future I'll be able to afford a proper rigger to do it the right way. He also has this fun little bodysuit underneath his jacket, but for complicated reasons relating to his legs disappearing if he isn't wearing pants, I can only show the top half of it here. So, moving on to community social media stuff, there's an Oshi mark, which is this flower and the watermelon. If you're not familiar with VTuber stuff, totally fine. Oshi marks are like emojis used to represent different VTubers for people who are fans of them or whatever. Do I expect people to use this or really any of the hashtags? No, not really, but I'm having a lot of fun living this VTuber fantasy and I want to fully embrace the cringe of it all. Speaking of the hashtags, I've got a few that I'll be using, starting with hashtag Viveros for general channel stuff and hashtag VivLive for when I'm streaming. I'm going to be getting art done of the model so I can use it for thumbnails and stuff going forward, which I'll be posting with the Creativeros tag. If you'd like to make some art of me, that would be insanely cool. Please make sure to use that tag so I can see it. DM it to me if you can. If you've got any dumb memes you want me to see, hashtag Memeros is the tag for that. If you're wondering what's up with the NSFW tag, I'm going to explain that really quickly. It's pretty common for VTubers to have a separate NSFW tag, even if that's not something they necessarily want to engage with, just in case people do decide to make art of their model that is more lewd. It's good to have a separate tag, just so that it's kept separate from everything else. Otherwise, someone who's browsing through the other tags might suddenly stumble upon something they didn't really intend to see. And that's not ideal. If I'm being honest, I mostly just thought Viverotica was too funny to not use as an NSFW tag. Different VTubers have different boundaries for that sort of thing, but for me, honestly, go wild, just make it gay. I won't be engaging with that sort of thing on my main accounts, but who knows, maybe I have an alt on Twitter for that or something. So, who is Viveros? Well, as far as lore goes, I do have a plan for that. I don't know if I can embrace that level of cringe yet, though, so I'm going to mostly keep it to myself for now. You'll have to just watch and find out. What I can tell you about myself is that I grew up gay in a small rural community in Alberta, Canada, and I left at the first opportunity to find something more interesting to do with my life. I've lived abroad, I've studied a huge range of different subjects in a bunch of different cities, worked in politics and education as a researcher, and now I'm here with all of you. If it gives you a bit of a hint, the prompt that Lucille was working off of was that I said that my character has the vibes of a bartender at a gay bar who doesn't need the money, he just likes attention, so make of that what you will. As far as my likes go, I'm really invested in politics and I've actually run for office a couple times myself. I am an incredibly competitive person, thank you very much, Grandma, and I like any form of creative expression that doesn't require me to be good at visual arts. For dislikes, I'm including myself under the label of politicians. I cannot stand sore losers, and don't like being around people who are constantly just needlessly cynical, which I know some people think I am, but I promise I'm not. Aside from people, I also hate driving, landlords, and seagulls for reasons that should be obvious to anyone who's kept up with the channel. I don't want to spend a million years just reading out all of my interests, especially because this is absolutely not a comprehensive list, but if you'd like to pause and take a look through my god-awful bad taste, you are welcome to do so. Lastly, a couple of goals. I don't know how long it'll take, but I would love to get a play button from YouTube at some point. And I'd also love to have some financial stability, whether that's from this nonsense or from a real job, and to finally get my degree after like 6 years of bouncing around between programs like the indecisive idiot that I am. I think it'd be fun to make a song at some point, we'll see, this is a threat, but the big content related thing is that I just want to have something outperform survivorship bias because I cannot have that be my legacy on this platform. Before I go, I just want to finish off with a quick explanation for why I'm making these changes. When it comes to my content, I've done this before, and I know how quickly it can burn me out. I want to be able to keep enjoying what I'm doing, and diversifying my topics is kind of necessary for me to feel like I'm not just stressed out and pigeonholed by the content I want to make. I want to enjoy this experience, and I think people will enjoy it more if I do. And I also want it to be something I can keep doing for a while. You know, the money I spent on all this stuff is income I made from the channel, so I view it as an investment into my future as Viveros. Being a VTuber doesn't necessarily make things easier, but in a lot of ways it can be really liberating, because there's a lot more freedom when it comes to creating content thanks to how VTubing inherently requires people to suspend their disbelief, to engage with the content, which can let you get away with more. When I was making the decision to pursue this, I was actually pretty heavily influenced not just by other VTubers, but by other performers and video essayists. Drag queen Bianca Del Rio talks often about how her drag is the costume that lets her get away with murder as an insult comic, and in my opinion, a VTubing model can kind of serve the same purpose. There's also a great video essay from Lindsay Ellis from a while back where she talks about how movie musicals have largely been the domain of animated films for a while now because animation inherently involves a suspension of disbelief, making it easier to come to terms with the characters just suddenly breaking out into song. In contrast, live-action musical movies sometimes struggle because the realism of the medium tends to clash with the fantastical nature of a musical. VTubers benefit from the same kind of suspension of disbelief, which for my purposes can make it easier to make video essays about a wider range of topics. It also just makes it easier on a personal level. Like, it's hard to not take the comment section personally, and to view your analytics as a measure of your own self-worth, as dumb as that sounds. Viveros is me. It's not something I'm really able to like take off or put down, and that can be stressful. Part of why I want to do this is because it allows me to become Viveros when I need to by effectively putting on the uniform, then take off that uniform when it's time to focus on school or my personal life or whatever else. On top of that, I think it just makes it easier to engage with an audience without feeling like I have to put up strict boundaries about all kinds of things. Like, the extreme example is obviously, like, if someone made an NSFW hashtag for Viveros for, like, me, the real human person, that would feel just, like, a tiny bit weird. When it's for Viveros, the VTuber, the model, it feels kind of just like harmless fun, you know? It also just makes it easier to have fun with the content rather than feeling embarrassed about how cringe I look or whatever. Like, VTubing is kind of inherently cringe, so now I know I'm being cringe, and if someone's watching me, it's because they're on board with at least this level of cringe. Anyways, before I ramble on for too long, I'm just gonna end this channel update / debut / explanation of my sins here. If you've watched this whole thing, thank you very much, and I honestly hope you're as excited as I am for the future of the channel. If you've watched this as a premiere or at any other point on May 12th, be sure to head over to the Tears of the Kingdom livestream to come celebrate my birthday with me. And if you're not already a channel member, be sure to grab a $5 membership to vote for which of these videos you want to see this month. My existing channel members have already selected the first Members' Choice video for May, which is Overwatch's Onyx or Shallow Storytelling, but I've decided to do a second one this month. It's my birthday, plus I wanted to give people who might decide to join after all of this a chance to get right in on the action of helping to choose a video. Also, don't forget, members get access to these emotes and channel badges, which is just a nice bonus. Thank you so much for everything, and hopefully I'll be seeing you soon.